Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Pivot Poll tonight.
Hi.
We are excited to be here on this Friday night. We just want to say we are always so grateful for those of you who choose to join in with us, for those of you who take time out of your busy schedules to come onto the Pivot Poll, to find out what's happening here, to share your thoughts, to gain some information, some wisdom, some insight, some chat. So that's what we're here to do. So I want to welcome you all tonight. I am excited. I'm beyond excited about this particular subject. As you guys already know, we're heading into the holiday season. We got Thanksgiving coming up next week. We have Christmas coming up in December. And the holidays really do mean different things to different people. Depends on who you are, where you are, what your past experiences have been. Some people are really excited about the holidays, and some people have stress and anxiety associated with the holidays. And so, what we want to talk to you tonight, we want to put some tools in your tool belt. We want to help you to navigate this season. We've been talking about gratitude this month, maintaining your gratefulness, being thankful, being intentional about that. But we also want to talk about that as it relates to entering into the season of Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, all of those times that we tend to get together with family. And so we're going to talk about emotional intelligence tonight. And we have a wonderful guest. I have already fallen in love with her. I hadn't known her but a few minutes, but she's right down my alley. Her name is Freda Marshall. She's an emotional intelligence consultant and coach. And we are excited to have her here tonight. Come on, Heather, talk to us a little bit.
Hi, everybody. It's so good to see you guys tonight. And, first I'd like to say, just start off saying, I have known Freda for a while. Freda and I used to work together. And, when you find someone when you work with someone and you find that it's easy to talk to them and it's easy, for them to understand you, that's a jewel when it's especially in the workforce. And Freda has been that to me. Freda actually helped me learn some things about myself before I moved into another position in another division that we had at that time. And it was some of the things that she told me that I needed to work on that helped me a few years later be able to actually get that position. So I never said it to you, Freda, but thank you. Thank you for that. That was probably the pre-emotional intelligence going on back then. So thank you for that. And with that being said, I'd like to let you go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience, Freda.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you, my beautiful sisters. It is such a pleasure to be joining you this evening. I know it's late over there. It's still early here. I'm in Tucson. But thank you for the very warm introduction and welcome. My name again is Freda Marshall, and I am an emotional intelligence consultant slash coach. And I've been working in the training and development field or the industry for many years, um, both in corporate, nonprofit, contracting. So I have a plethora of experiences and stories that I've been told and people that I've interacted with that really led me to this point where I decided that this point in my career, this is what I really want to focus on, because if we can get our emotions intact and manage them well, and if I can help people get those emotions intact and understand them and know how to communicate them effectively, then we can see the rise in leadership, promotions, and just growth overall. But my background has really been in training employees and managerial training. But emotional intelligence touches everyone, everywhere, whether you're at work, whether you're at home, with your children, your spouse. So there's no area that practicing emotional intelligence doesn't touch. And so I'm just happy to be able to share a little bit with you tonight. And also, as we talk about what it means to be grateful or cultivate gratitude in the holiday season, and why it's so important for us to bring awareness to this right now. So thank you for having me.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, first off the bat, can you please tell our audience what is emotional intelligence?
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. In a nutshell, like we can go on and on and on. I could do a 4-hour workshop on this thing. But basically, in a nutshell, I'm going to keep it really simple for this segment, is being able, having the capacity to identify your emotions, recognize them, and be able to manage them effectively, being able to communicate effectively. So emotional intelligence, I'll put it just like this. Emotional intelligence keeps you from going from angry to in a rage, to being
Wow.
enraged. Emotional intelligence keeps you from being angry and going into a rage. And that's
Mhm.
where that middle part is, emotions, we have them. We all have them, right? And it's okay. It's okay to be upset. It's okay, to be sad, whatever those emotions are, where it's a human experience. But what we
Mhm.
do with those emotions matters the
Mhm.
most. And what we do or don't do with those emotions have the most impact on how successful we are in life, at work, in our
Mhm.
relationships. So in a nutshell, um, it's basically identifying the emotions of ourselves and of others. How do we respond to those emotions? And I always say respond, because we have a tendency to react. If somebody says
Mhm.
something we don't like,
Yeah. Yeah.
somebody says something that we're offended by, we want, we want to give them back what they gave us, right? But that's not really productive, right? And
Right.
I've been in situations, I'm like, oh my gosh, those words went out there, I can't take them back. And now
Mhm.
we have damaged relationships and possibly a stunted career.
Yeah.
So it's really, how do we identify those emotions in ourselves and others, how we manage them, how do we communicate, how we feel effectively, so
Mhm.
that we can have some people come out of a conversation or
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to jump in here, Heather. This is because I'm this is so good to me already. I think something key about what you said, and I really loved a part of that definition was defining your emotions. And I can say this to our viewers and you and Heather knows this because she's kind of been with me for a while. We've been best friends for a while, kind of watching each other evolve over time. Is that it was hard for me, and I think has a lot to do with your family background sometimes is knowing how to identify what it is that you're really feeling because I kind of feel like it was only okay for us to express a level of anger about something. But when I started kind of growing and developing, I understood that a lot of times when I thought I was feeling angry, that anger really was masking hurt. I was hurt about something. I was disappointed about something. And I think Heather actually helped me develop
see.
in that area. She would say, "What are you feeling?" I would say, "I'm mad about something." And she said, "Is it mad?" And I would be like, "Well, no, I'm really not mad. I think I'm just disappointed, or I think I'm hurt." And I think that's key, in gaining this definition of emotional intelligence. What do y'all think about that?
Yeah.
Oh, you hit it right on the head.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And sometimes there's this fear that we have, like, I don't want
Mhm.
people to know that that
Yeah.
was really hurtful. So I'm going to
Yeah.
mask it as anger, because
Yeah.
I'm going to use this as a defense because I don't
Mhm.
want to be hurt. Who wants
Yeah.
to be hurt, right?
Right.
But it's
Right.
in, identify it and take
Mhm.
that intentional pause. When we take an intentional
Mhm.
pause, we can, kind of pace ourselves and say, self, what is it that I'm really feeling? Why am I feeling this way? What
Mhm.
was my trigger?
Yeah.
Now I can tell someone without being all,
Yes.
overly sensitive about it. Hey,
Mhm.
what you said, what you did was very hurtful, and this is why.
Mhm.
Versus now, we're head to head. I'm mad now. I said something and you're mad now. And so now we have a damaged relationship or
That's right.
ineffective communication. So you hit that right on the
Mm,
head, identifying those emotions. And it's okay that we have the emotions. We're human, as I
yeah,
said, but it's what we do with them, how we understand them, how we
mm,
interpret them,
right.
and even just for ourself, our own growth, we
Yeah.
need
Yeah,
to know what the difference between feeling hurt and being mad or being angry is, because there's something deep rooted in there that
mhm,
now we need to dig a little deeper and find out, well,
mhm.
why does this hurt me?
Right,
Why
right.
does this make me angry? Because 9 times out of 10, same person
Yeah,
or
mhm, mhm.
and it's going to happen again, and you probably going to.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so good. Wow, I agree with you. One of our viewers, Ruth, and she has also been a guest on this show. She said, "Wow, this is great stuff," and it is so. It's just, it really is. Heather, what you thinking?
So I have my question is, the holidays are coming around. We know that they're here. And
Yeah.
how do you help people not get in that emotional, almost like an emotional ball
Hmm.
sometimes when they're,
Hmm. Yeah.
around their family, around their friends. This pandemic has taken a lot of us, and for some people, this is the first time in almost 2 years that people are
Mm,
coming back together.
yeah, yeah.
So how
Mhm.
does that play out?
Yes.
And
Yes.
what does that look like? How do you think that
Yeah.
looks?
That's why I'm so excited that you all are that this is the topic right now
Mhm,
as we're entering in our first seasonal holiday, because we know holidays are supposed to be a joyous event, right? Um,
mhm,
but even for right now, as you said, the past 2 years, holidays still come with a certain level of stressors,
mhm,
anxiety for a lot of people. And this year there's so many lives that have been lost, whether it was due to the pandemic or other things. You can't go on Facebook in your news feed and you're not hearing someone say, "Hey, I just lost my uncle," or "My sister died," or "Oh, a classmate died." So there's so
mhm,
many people that are experiencing loss right now, that
mhm.
we are not entering into this year, this season, the same way we would have pre-pandemic. And it just seems like things are so heightened right now. And
Mhm.
it's important that we recognize, that we bring awareness to ourselves, that hey, this holiday season, it's kind of heavy, it's coming with some
Mm,
heavy stuff, but we
mm,
also need to be aware of that with others we interact with them, we don't really know all of the issues, all of the anxiety, all of the stressors that they've experienced. And so,
yes.
what would typically be a joyous time where we're
Mhm,
with family, where we're with friends, we're out shopping, and now people have lost their jobs, or they've had to transition. That's
mhm.
not the case right now. And so, and I was saying earlier, when emotions are high, logic is low. And that doesn't mean
Mm,
just angry, but it just
yeah,
means feeling, there's some despair out there. People are struggling,
mhm,
people are hurting, and how they interact and communicate with family and friends now more than ever is going to be critical. And going back to what you said, Andretta, is being able to identify
mhm,
and express what you're feeling in these
mhm,
times is what's going to help the people around you
mm.
support you, because
Yeah,
we oftentimes want people to read our minds, and that's impossible, and we should never put that expectation on people, because sometimes we don't even know what's on our own mind, right?
all right now, come
And
on,
so being
come
able
on.
to being able
That's
to
so good.
communicate that this is what I'm
Mhm,
feeling is going to
yes,
be important. And there's some things, we've got, family is family, is your blood. You can't
yes,
choose your family, but you can sure choose if you want to be around them or not. And
yeah,
so
yeah,
if, I would say that if you've got things going on and you can't right now communicate that with them,
mhm,
plan ahead. Like, know which cousin is going to push that button, which
mhm,
brother is going to tick you off,
mhm,
and just kind of plan, prepare your response. Like, okay, if they come at me wrong, This is how I'm going to handle that because I'm not going to let them take me there. Right. And it's so really identifying what your triggers are going to be, whether it's going to trigger something that brings about sadness, if it's going to trigger something that brings about anger, that you know it's happened in the past, then now you can sit with yourself,
Mm.
right? Know
Yeah.
yourself, become self-aware
That's
so that
right.
now you can better present yourself to your
Mhm.
family, present yourself at your job, present yourself in public. Does that make sense?
It's
Oh gosh, it makes so much sense. Heather, I'm sorry, did I interrupt you? Go ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Because this is good food. I mean, I got a whole banquet going on in my living room right now. Let me
Let's eat.
let's eat. Because what you said about, sit with yourself. And a lot of times we don't take the time, especially during the holidays or during any situation, to really stop, practice that pause, and really think. And I love it. You said prepare, because a lot of times that has something to do with why we're unable to respond in a way that's constructive, because we haven't really taken the time to sit with ourselves to, like you said, decide, okay, if this happens, how am I going to respond? And so now we're reacting and it's getting ugly. You know what I'm saying? And that just doesn't, I think what you
Exactly.
said is powerful tools in the tool belt, because we don't always do that, sit with ourselves and really learn what our heart is feeling, and identifying, like you said, those triggers. Okay, they bring up my past every time I come to these gatherings. Okay, and that's why I don't like
Mhm,
coming to these
mhm.
gatherings, but I'm coming to this gathering because mama gonna be upset if I don't come. So now I come, my guns are already loaded, I'm ready for you to say that thing that you said the last 10 times, and I'm not taking it this time. That
Right.
type of attitude. And I think it can get tense, and it can get tense fast, but taking
Mhm.
an opportunity to really sit with
Yeah.
yourself and say, listen, that might be more about them than it is about me. And I'm going to practice saying, okay, this is how I'm going to respond to that. I think that's really great. That's It's really great. Heather, what you think?
Yeah.
You know, I do agree with that.
Mhm.
I think for a lot of people, that's a hard place to be in
Mhm.
sometimes
Yes.
because
Mhm.
um, I know of people who practice.
Mhm.
Okay, before this is what I'm gonna say when I get in here.
Mhm.
This is what I'm gonna do when I get in here. This is where I'm gonna sit when I get in here. And as soon as something comes and taps on
Yeah.
that
Oh
thing,
gosh, yeah.
all of those things you prepared so eloquently in your mind has now gone out the door,
Yeah.
and the other side of you now shows up.
Like, hey, I
And
got this one. I got this right here.
Mhm.
it's
Exactly.
hard.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now it's hard for you to grab it back.
Mhm. Mhm.
So now, now everybody's upset and nobody
Right.
wants to eat pumpkin pie. So, that's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think within, I think a part of this is learning the gratitude and the gratefulness within
Yes.
that somewhere is embedded in there. And
Mhm.
if you can grab onto that
Yes.
a little bit, then it can help you
Yeah.
get through, can help you get through that. So, Frida, talk to us about how
Right.
gratitude or gratefulness and emotional intelligence kind of meet together.
Yes, absolutely. And you hit it. I mean, you all are just firing on all cylinders. When you think about gratitude and um that's a skill. And people don't
Mm.
realize
Oh.
it doesn't, we're just not born being grateful. It's something that's learned and it has to be practiced.
Wow.
And I'm 50, and there's people that are 60, 70, 80 that still have no concept of how to be grateful and how to cultivate gratitude. So, and I say that this is not when you just start because Thanksgiving, oh, now I'm going to be thankful, I'm going to be grateful. But
Mhm.
this is something that we need to practice on a daily basis. This is something that we need to, and it's very easy to get emotional or sad or depressed because we're thinking of all the things that have gone wrong or all the things that we don't have. But
Mhm.
cultivating a spirit or attitude of gratitude is
Mhm.
identifying those things and being grateful for those things that you do have, grateful for
Mhm.
those experiences. So it's something that, we don't want to just enter into this or cultivate this attitude going into the season. But
Mhm.
you're right. Before we do go into those gatherings, we need to identify, you know what? I am so thankful for this. I'm grateful for that, and just really having a mindset that no
Mhm.
matter what happens, what goes wrong, these are all the things that are going well. So when we were
Mhm.
children, right, we were taught
Mhm.
that if somebody did something for us, if somebody gave us something, to say what?
Thank
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 you.
you.
you, right?
Mhm.
But as as time goes on, we get older,
Mm.
that kind of, you don't really
Yes.
hear, people have a level of expectation or a sense of
Yes.
entitlement.
Yes.
So they don't,
Entitled.
we don't really show that
That's so
gratitude anymore. And so we have to get away from that. Hold on one my grandbaby. I love her. I
that's
love her.
all
I
right.
love her.
That's right.
Okay.
She,
Uh,
she's a preposition.
and I'm
She's
great,
a
and I'm
preposition.
grateful for her, because let me tell
Right.
you, the little things, I haven't been with them by myself for a whole week, but I'm so thankful that my daughter and my son-in-law have wonderful marriage, and they are off in Jamaica on a beach somewhere, and I
Oh,
was able to be able to sit here with them so that
yeah.
they can have that time together and continue
Yeah.
to build and love on each other. So I'm grateful for that.
For
I'm
that.
grateful for her little distraction. But
Yes.
so as we get older, it becomes, we feel a sense of entitlement,
Mhm.
and we've got to get away from that. And
Mhm.
this season, like, there are a lot of people that don't, they're missing, whether they've lost someone,
Mhm.
whether somebody is facing a condition,
Mhm.
and people aren't getting together
Mhm.
like they would have normally, or they are getting together after a couple of years, or
Mhm.
some people just feel like, you know what, something is just missing. That's when we have to take a step back, and that's when
Yeah.
we have to pause. I was in the store earlier today, and I was behind a lady, and the cashier was saying, "Oh, are you, getting ready? Are you excited about the holiday?" And the lady said, "I really, I'm not feeling it. I just wish
Oh,
the day would just go by." And
oh,
that kind of thing lets you know that there's so many other things that the
mhm.
focus is on, that we're not
Mhm.
focusing on. Girl, you got money to pay for what you're buying, you're breathing, you're
Mhm.
walking on your own, you're clothed.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? You live in
Absolutely.
a
Yes.
beautiful state, it's beautiful outside, but there was something blocking whatever that she thought could be good. Something was blocking it with the negativity. And so that's kind of where we have to learn that every day, write something down, make a gratitude list. I have a journal that I think about those small things, that I can be grateful for, because I'm not perfect. Life isn't always perfect. But, when you sit back and you think about what you could have gone through, or
Mhm.
what you could have lost, or where you could be, and you're not, you just have to
Mm.
say, "Thank you, I'm grateful."
Oh, I
Yeah.
love it.
Sometimes I have to go outside and I look at the trees, or I'm going to look at
Mhm.
some birds, or I'm a water baby. I'm going to the water, because I have to be reminded and come out of my four walls that there is
Mhm.
so much that we have that's offered to us, that if we just
Yeah.
take advantage of that, minus
Mm.
the hiccups, minus the
Yeah.
pressures, minus the
Yeah.
stressors, you know, we still have so much to be
Yes.
grateful for.
Yes. Oh my God, that is so good, Frida. Oh my, you said so much in a mouthful there. So it's kind of like what I'm hearing you say is that one of the first things that was so powerful, and we've talked about, this on this show in the last show too, because we had a mother and daughter duo that were on, and they were talking about some of this as far as gratitude. We talked about, is gratitude a learned behavior? And gratitude is absolutely a skill. And kind of what I'm hearing you say is, as we cultivate that skill, that it can help present a clearer path for us to have a greater emotional intelligence, if you will.
Right.
Because I think that that gratitude, as you were saying, and being grateful and getting your perspective in order can help you to respond in a way that maybe you couldn't respond if you weren't thinking the same way. Because even in going into the
Mhm.
holidays, as you were talking, I was thinking about there are people, yes, the pandemic is not being talked about like it was maybe because we were in the height of that. But I know people who lost their loved ones still to this day, still losing
Yes.
loved ones. Some people did not survive the pandemic. And like you said, it's been a couple of years, Heather, since people have gotten together and just looking at it like, hey, there were people, we all survived, or even if we didn't all survive, there are many who are still
Yes.
here. We're just glad to be here. We're glad to see you. So maybe what triggered you before, and just getting to the place where you can understand that you still have family, they're breathing, they're in the
Yeah.
land of the living, that can help
Yeah.
you take a little some that you might not have taken before. You see what I'm saying? So, and
Yeah.
help you to get your responses in order, because I think that it really does change everything about how you respond to someone when you don't have that spirit of entitlement, but you're just looking at that person through the perspective. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful that you're here. I'm grateful that I have a
Yes.
family. I'm grateful that we are able to get together. I'm grateful that we all survived. Like I told Heather, you remember, it reminds me of that song, Millions Didn't Make It, but I was one of the ones who did, by the Winans. And I was telling Heather, we all
Yeah.
we had COVID.
Right.
I said, honey, we had COVID when they were stacking up bodies in trucks downtown. You know what I mean? And we survived,
We
but there
did.
were people
Yeah.
who did not survive. And so for those people who did not, yes, you put your heart, your care, your prayers, but that should change something about the way you see our time here, what becomes
Yeah.
important, majoring in the minor things. It can change and help you to be, I think, a little more emotional intelligent, if you will. So that's my thought on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Part of emotion practicing emotional intelligence, and it is a journey. Like, it is
Yeah,
not a one done,
right.
oh, I'm emotionally intelligent. No, it
Right.
is a journey, and it's something you practice, just like you're
Yes.
playing football. If you want to get better and
Yeah.
better and better, you go to practice. And
Yeah.
I'll be the first to admit that, I am human. And even though
Yes.
this is my area, I I
Hmm.
miss the mark sometimes. And then, but
Yeah.
it what it does is it allows me to step back and
Yes.
look at a trigger, or look at something that happened, and ask myself, well, why did that bother me so much? Or why did that provoke that kind of reaction? Because we want to learn how to better respond versus reacting to situations or stressors or triggers, but we got
Hmm.
to identify what those are. And
Hmm.
so I love what you said is, start expressing the way you start cultivating a attitude of gratitude is you express it. Tell people that you appreciate them, and tell them why. You don't just make it a blanket statement. Tell them
Yeah.
why you appreciate them. Be thankful, be intentional with how you communicate and how you express that. But a part
Mhm.
of being learning and growing your emotional intelligence is turning your being optimistic, because when you start looking at all the possibilities, the law of attraction says, in the biblical, you reap what you
Mhm.
sow. So
Mhm.
when you start thinking on those positive things and being optimistic and
Right.
calling those things into you, that's what you're going to attract. And so when
Right.
you put out appreciation and gratitude, you're going to get that in return. When you
Mm.
stop thinking and focusing on the things that are going wrong, you're going to
Right.
start getting more things going right in your life.
Come
Does that
on.
make sense?
Yes, I love
And so,
that.
but it is practice. We have to be intentional about,
Mhm.
one, waking up saying, thank you, God, because you did not have to wake me up. And
Mm.
thank you for this job. Whether I like it, this might not be my last stop, but thank you that
Yeah.
I got it right now, because it's going
Yes.
to propel me. Something I'm doing here is going to equip me or prepare me for my next move. So I got to be thankful for that as well. So when we
Yeah.
start thinking like that, then getting job offers you didn't even apply for. You're getting
Mm,
relationships and friendships that you didn't even know existed, but somebody was sent to you to help propel you to your next level. So when we
mm,
start thinking, that as far as how do we really uh, uh, become aware of all
mm,
those things that are going right, and practicing gratitude, which is huge in
mm,
being emotionally intelligent and
mm.
for our growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, Frida, I have a question for you. You said earlier that, and you said it, and our previous guest said it this month, that gratitude is something that you learn. It's not, you weren't born, and and you now are now gracious. So, tell us, how would you teach your grandbaby who's sitting there with you, who's 2? How do you teach her? How do you start to teach her this spirit of gratitude and gratefulness, which would hopefully eventually lead her when she gets older to understand emotional intelligence?
Mhm.
But since we're not born into this, how would you teach her at this age?
That's good.
That is good, because I'll tell you right now, she'll be 2 on the 3rd, and if I give her something, she'll say thank you. But
Mhm.
how that and I just said it, we learned that it's, we're taught that. So if yes, Courtney, okay, all right, thank you. I'll
Mhm.
tell you that if you give someone something, we say thank you. And
Mhm.
so it becomes a kind of like a learned behavior, that if someone gives you something, they're going to say thank you. Hold on
Mhm.
1 second. I don't know what you're looking for, my dear.
So
But there,
cute.
it becomes a learned
Mhm.
behavior. So the more you teach that, and the more you kind of foster that, because we
Mhm.
don't let her not say thank you when we give her something.
Oh,
And
wow.
then
Yeah.
we say, "You're welcome," back to her.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
you can't hear those little "you're welcome" words, but that's exactly what she's saying. And so now she would come to expect a
Mhm.
thank you if you give her something.
Right.
If you
Yes.
say, "Courtney, bring me this," and you take it from her, she's expecting you to say thank you, because she might even say thank you. Like, no, you didn't, you gave it to me. So it's
Mhm.
something that you have to start early, so that people are not being growing up with a sense of entitlement. That is not an expectation that somebody's going to always do something for you, or
Mhm.
give something to you, but
Mhm.
it's a learned behavior.
Right, right. That's really good. I'm going to ask you something. That's good. I was hearing something, and I told you earlier. I was trying to kind of get my little life together as we were getting into the show, kind of doing a little backup information seeking, and I heard something that kind of stuck with me, and I wanted to ask you, put it out here for you all's perspective. It was talking about, as you're going into the holidays, you go into these family gatherings, and maybe, or even, it may be church, it could be friendships, it could be any type of relationships. And one of the things that I heard someone say is be curious. Be curious. And what
Mm,
she meant by that was sometimes the response that you're getting, you don't know what's fueling it. And you said something about that earlier. And I think that can be key as we're talking about navigating holidays and emotional intelligence, because being curious as it relates to the perspective that, or the way that she was putting it, she was saying, well, you don't know what anybody's going through. And a lot of times we don't take the time to be
Yeah,
curious and find out what's fueling behavior, what's coming at you may not have anything to do with you. Be curious. And that's not to say to dig into someone, but
right.
that's to say what you called taking that moment to stop and think about what's happening right now. And I don't know that we always seek to be curious about the state that someone may be in as we're interacting with them. And it may not have anything to do with you. What do you guys think about that?
go ahead, Frida.
I think, and Heather, I'm going to let you speak on that, but I think that goes right back to we are so accustomed to reacting
Okay.
versus responding. So when you
Mhm.
respond, it makes you take that intentional pause, because
Yeah.
now you have to process
Yeah.
everything that's going on. And it's so important, because most times when we communicate, we hear, but we're not listening, because when they're
Mhm.
talking, when someone is talking, we're so ready. We're preparing what we're going to say back to them, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we don't really hear everything that's going on. And that's something, listening is a skill. We're not
Yeah.
born knowing how to effectively listen to
Yeah.
people. And that lack of skill oftentimes damages relationships. So it's very important that we step back. It's
Mhm.
okay to breathe before you open up your mouth and spew out
Yeah.
something. Not everything even deserves a response or a
Yeah.
reaction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some
That's
people
right.
are saying stuff and it is not about you. It's all about them. But you have to be in a place mentally and practice your emotional intelligence to know, to be able to decipher and what emotion that they're feeling. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And so part of
Yeah.
being emotionally intelligent is not only managing your own emotions, but also managing others. You have to be
Yeah.
able to
Oh, that's good.
identify what they're saying, even though they're not saying it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that is so good. And I want to give
What do you
Heather
think,
her
Heather?
kudos. I want to give Heather her kudos. I'm gonna let you respond to that, Heather, because Heather is the master of this, and I give her props. Heather has taught me so much about just that, because I wasn't developed in that way. I just wasn't. If I thought something, I was gonna probably say it, and I don't know how well that was always going. But as I grew older, I started kind of bringing it down a whole lot. But when I met Heather, Heather is the master of that. And what I mean a master of that, she just really practices that naturally. And I see it demonstrated, because sometimes people can practice things with other people. When it comes to people they're close to, they don't practice it. But Heather really does that very well, because she would say, because I'm not always the person who is as forthcoming with what I may be struggling with. So I'm struggling internally, but I may not be saying that. So if she notices that my behavior, my responses are not what they would be, or if I'm talking and I'm edgy, she'll say, "What's wrong, Andretta?"
Mhm.
Just as calm, what's wrong? What's wrong? And I'll
Mhm.
be like, this happened and that. And then now she's getting the whole, this is what was driving you, that whole
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
So she's quick not to, I don't take that personal. What's,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
she'll say, talk to me, what's wrong? And because this ain't you, this is not you right now. And so I
Mhm.
just wanted to say, and kudos to her, because I told her
Right.
before the show, I said, you girl, you've been teaching me some stuff all along, because she really does do that well. So I just want to throw that out.
Aw.
You can go
Well,
ahead and respond.
well, thank you. Well, thank you. Um, I think within all of this, I think I have learned something. This is like the fourth time you've said it, Freda. Responding versus reacting.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought that those two were kind of like the same, but
Mm,
they're really not.
no.
Um, reacting doesn't necessarily give you the opportunity to take the time to stop and think.
Mm-hmm.
Responding does.
Right.
Responding, you have a responsibility is kind of there to stop and pause and then move forward. Um,
Mm,
and I think a lot of people, like you said, when it feels like somebody's coming for you, your guard is now
Mm.
completely up, and
mm-hmm.
you're no longer responding, you're reacting.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
those are reactions that are
Yes.
coming forward. So I think it's important that, first of all, we know the difference
Yeah.
um,
That's,
of those two,
Yes.
and know which one you're operating in
oh
when
yeah. That's
when
good.
you're interacting with people,
Mm-hmm.
because there might be people
Yes.
going into this season who need to understand that and understand those differences. So if cousin Jimmy is the one that really pushes my button,
Mm-hmm.
then I don't need to respond. I don't need to react. I need to respond. And I need to practice what that response will be. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I never looked at it like that
Mhm.
until this evening. That those two
Yeah.
words, I think, kind of get
They do.
mushed together,
Mhm.
but they're definitely different,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
mean different things
Mhm.
to all of us. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Right. And let me tell you two other words that are used interchangeably, but they are different, is emotions and feelings. Emotions is that thing that you feel when it's our response to a stimuli, something that has happened, and chemicals get sent here or there, but the feeling is actually what happens when you think about what
Wow.
happened. And so there is like a pause, and there's a certain, yeah, and we're not going to go into the neuroscience thing of it, but there
Oh,
is a time, a short, very short time span, seconds, between that processing of the emotion, that the chemicals that happen, and then the feeling is, and it's a very short time period. I mean, it's really, it's a really deep thing, but once you identify that, once you know that, then you're
mhm.
better able to handle situations. And then you can also, being emotionally intelligent increases your empathy towards people. So, they may go off on you, and then it will cause you to say, I wonder what happened to them. Not, I
Mm.
wonder what's wrong with them, but I wonder what happened
Ooh,
to them. And
Glory,
so
you
it's
blowing
really,
my
really, really important that we identify that. I often say, I think of, and the way I practice is emotional intelligence is looking at life, looking at experiences through a clearer lens, through a different lens. So I wear glasses, and I wear contacts, but I wear glasses. So imagine if you wore glasses and you left the house without your glasses. I've done that before, and I didn't get very far because I got to the stop sign and said, "Oh my God, I don't have my glasses on."
Mhm.
Because when you step out without your glasses, everything is fuzzy, nothing is clear, right? There's confusion. If you keep going, you're gonna get in an accident, you're gonna bump into something just ain't gonna go right. So you got to go
Mhm.
back, right,
Yeah.
and get your
Yeah.
glasses. So we like to think of practicing emotional intelligence as looking through life and experiences through a different lens. And so now, there again, we're not reacting to things, we're responding, because now we see that people are not their emotions. We feel them, and it's okay. This holiday season, it's okay to feel all those emotions that are coming up. Find somebody to talk about them. Express gratitude somehow or another to help you process what it is that you're exactly feeling. So we experience emotions. That's fine. But when we get in our emotions, we can't stay there. We got to get to that part where we're feeling and able to express, I feel this kind of way because of what you did, or I feel this because of what happened. And so now that's where we're able to really kind of diffuse any negativity, calmly talk, intelligently talk to people
Mhm.
about what we're experiencing through our lens. If that does that make sense, y'all?
Oh my gosh. You are complete. I feel like I'm
My granddaughter wants to be in this conversation so
That's all
bad.
right. No, she's good. Let me say this. I feel like I'm in church right now. Like I feel like, I feel like I was looking for my Bible. Like, okay, it's a scripture or something. This is a whole song. This is so rich to
Mhm.
me, and maybe because maybe I need it or something. But it is so rich because I did not know there was a difference between emotions and feelings.
And
Like
feelings.
I didn't want to have her say that again, but she's gonna have to come back and talk to us some more. I already told her you gonna have a client by the end of this show because it is so the way that she is presenting this, putting that right there was a visual for me of putting on my glasses. I can see myself thinking that way. What
Yeah.
lens am I wearing right now? It matters. It is so paramount. And so this is rich. This conversation has been absolutely rich. What you would say,
Yeah.
you Heather?
I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. I never,
I didn't know
and
that.
you don't put those things together.
Mm, mm, mm,
And people are not their emotions, and we think that they are.
Mhm.
And that's judging people, and that's not fair.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's really not fair to do. So this has definitely been enlightening. um, and it's good to help. I think it's good to help people, especially now,
Mhm.
um, understand that, you can't stay stuck in it.
Yeah.
Like you said, you can't stay stuck in the rut.
Mhm.
You got to find some gratitude. You have
Mhm.
to. I don't care what it is. You have to
Mhm.
find some gratitude,
Yes.
Mhm.
and you have to start to learn how to manage those emotions, um,
Yes.
that are going to come up.
Mhm.
We're all
Yeah.
human, like you
Yeah.
said, Frida, and there's no one
Yeah.
is can escape it. You
Wow.
cannot escape it. But the beauty is that we all have
Yeah.
the same 24 hours in a day, and we can
Yes.
all learn it and
Yes.
experience it and continue to grow in it
Yeah.
day to day to day, and then pass it on.
Yes.
It's the
It is a
most,
practice. It,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. That's true. So,
yeah.
what would you,
Yeah.
is the last
And I
thing
would
that you,
say to give
Go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Frida.
Rita?
I would say give yourself some grace
Mm.
during this holiday season.
Mm.
And it is a practice. We practice gratitude, right? So no one gets, reaches a mark and oh, I've achieved, I'm there, because as long as we have breath, there's still room to grow. You
Absolutely.
know what I mean? And so give yourself grace, because I don't make the mark. There's some triggers that I'm like, oh my God, where did that come from? I didn't even know
Exactly.
I had that.
Yeah.
Or I thought I dealt with that a long time ago. And
Mhm.
afterwards I look like, oh my God, that was not me. That ain't me. Or I
Mhm.
don't want to be that person. But you live, you learn, and you do better the next time. And so I would say give yourself grace if you're going into this season with, stress, anxiety, issues, uh strained relationships. um it's never too late. Like you said, it's never too late to start practicing, identifying, getting with yourself, learning yourself. That really is, we can't control anything that anybody else does, but we can control how we respond to
Mhm.
what they do or what they say to us. And when
Yes.
we get in our emotions, it's okay. Sit with them. I don't, we tell people, oh, when people cry, we're the first to give them a Kleenex. But sometimes those tears need to come. We don't want them, they don't need to dry those tears. They need to
Mm.
feel it. They need to
Mm.
feel that emotion, sit with that feeling, identify what it is, and now they can properly process it and move
Mhm.
on. But
Mhm.
we want things to go away so quickly, and that we never grow from that, because something is going to happen again, and we're going to react the same way unless we really identify what is causing that.
Yes.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. May I say to you, Frida, you have been an absolute jewel here tonight on this show. I don't
Yeah.
know if people are, our show is new, but I'm going to tell you something. This is the cream of the crop right here on these shows. All of our shows with our guests have been phenomenal, and you are no
Yeah.
exception to that. It just keeps elevating and getting greater. And I just have to say that I feel so grateful to have you tonight. And for those of you who will catch the replay, catch it. I'm going to share it again because I want people to really see this. It is worthy conversation. It's not conversation that people may even think about, but it's something that we need to start really considering, not just during the holidays, but in life. The way that we are, the way that we respond versus those reactions, emotions. And I first thing I thought, I'm gonna ask her this after we get off the show, off of live. But I have one thing I have to ask, and I'm not going to open up that can of worms right here at this hour. But let me say this: just the differences between you and because I got a whole thing going on my head. But emotions versus feelings and all of that, Frida. You have been great. Thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom
Yeah.
of my heart. I haven't known you long, but it's you. What you've shared has been absolutely rich. So, Heather.
Yes, and same here, Frida. Thank you. You know, Frida used to do this. We used to have these kind of talks. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
there that's just how kind of she is.
Right.
Um,
Right.
you know, and it's just a blessing
Yeah.
that you have been able to come and share with our audience.
Mm-hmm.
You know how important it is, you know, to be grateful, but
Mm-hmm.
it's very important to learn how to manage
Yeah.
those emotions
Mm-hmm.
and those feelings,
Mm-hmm.
and to say that it's okay to
Yeah.
have them,
Mm-hmm.
and then to give yourself some grace. And
Yeah.
Grace.
I think in this season, in this
Yeah.
time
Mm-hmm.
that we're in, grace is really needed. And you
Yes.
know, and I think you've given some people the permission to have that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that is definitely a blessing. So we just say thank you again for coming on the show, and we will definitely have you back again to talk deeper into emotional intelligence. And do you have any closing remarks or anything you'd like to say?
I would just, I'd like to say I am so appreciative of this opportunity because I'm actually shy, y'all. I'm an extrovert and
Yes.
introvert at the same time. But I think the more we create space to have these real conversations, the better our world would be, our children, because we need to be examples for our generations coming up so they're not struggling the way we struggle, because no one
Mm.
sat around the dinner table,
Yeah.
eating greens and cornbread talking about our emotions and our feelings. We were told to suppress them. And,
Yeah.
or if we did express them, if you were a boy, you were told, don't cry,
Right.
stop crying. Or,
Right.
if don't be too emotional, don't show this. And so we have we have generations of hurting people that don't know that they're hurting. And so hurt people, right?
That's
And
right.
so
Mm.
where do we stop it? And we stop it with, our generations, where we're still able to sit them at the table and ask them, well, what happened to you that's making you cry? Asking those questions and being able to have those conversations. But I just really appreciate your work and all that you all are doing, and I really do look forward to hearing more from you all and your future guests, and hopefully coming back on and digging a
Yes.
little deeper, doing a little deeper dive into this thing we call emotional intelligence.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you
Awesome.
so much, Frida. Oh, we've come to the end of our show. I just really pray that you all have been blessed. God knows from the bottom of my heart I have been blessed, and I can see in Heather as well. Thank you again, Frida. We ask that you guys check the replay. And I am too, Ruth. I see you said it. I'm an extroverted introvert too. I think that's a thing. I saw Ruth say me too. I had to throw that out there.
It
But
is.
so thank you so much for watching, and we will see you all in 2 weeks. We're going to hit December, where we are going to have Karen on. And what is her? I can't think. Get her
Aaron
last.
Roberts.
Okay, we're going to have her on, and she has penned a book. She was one of our first guests, and she has just evolved, and we want to give her an opportunity to come and share. She was an exceptional guest from the first show to the last.
Yeah.
God has just really blessed us, and I could not be more grateful. So bless you all tonight. Thank you for being here, and we will see you guys in 2 weeks. Until that time, we love you, we bless you, and we just pray God's best for you, that everything that you set your hands to do is absolutely blessed, that you would do all that you have in your heart to do in this season as we're ramping up at the end of the year and coming into a new year, that you would realize all that is on your heart, whether that be with relationships, business, whatever it might be. We just bless you, bless you, bless you, and we love you as well. So God bless you, and see you all in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye bye.